Yo, yo, yo! Yo, I need 4 people to share for me something that we learned from yesterday's lesson. Julio, start us off. Julio.
Thinking back to yesterday's lesson, one thing I need more practice with is to find how to approach theme.
Okay, so something Julio needs more practice with is how to approach theme, and we're actually going to talk about that again today. Good job. Somebody else. Call on somebody for me, Julio.
Thinking back to yesterday, I learned how to approach a theme and convey a theme through study situations.
Okay, and so Julio, Levi might be able to help you later. Okay, Levi, call somebody. 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
One thing that I learned yesterday is stylistic choice. Stylistic choice is just the object's approach to showing thing.
Their approach, right? Their specific choice that they're making. Can I please have somebody loud and proud to read my outfit? Sophia?
Scholars will be able to compare and contrast approach to theme across text types.
Ladies and gentlemen, what do we say it means to approach theme across text type? First off, what is across text type? What is that? Somebody? What'd you say? Different types of text or different what, Camille? Different types. You said something else. What'd you say? Or different genres. So today we're going to talk about comparing and contrasting approaches. And again, I already know we kind of struggle with talking about the approach. And so we're trying to get better. Today is a learning lesson. We're just trying to get better. You're getting better, I'm getting better. I know when I first taught it, it wasn't the best. So we're working on it together. All right, moving on. Somebody read our activators. Ayana, go ahead and read our activator.
What obstacles have Odysseus and his men
Encountered.
encountered along this long journey back to Ithaca? How have these obstacles affected their lives?
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an extremely long journey for Odysseus. I'm going to give you 2 minutes inside your group. Discuss all, think it's as many going back all the way to the beginning. What have been all the obstacles that Odysseus and his men have had to encounter along their journey? Discuss it, but also write it down. 2 minutes, make it happen.
And when he was like, he didn't want to go, but he said yes anyway to go to war. The Cyclops.
I'm sorry, Mr. C made a mistake. You do not have to write incomplete sentences on this. Just write the event, okay? So don't worry about writing complete sentences. It will take us too long.
Mr. Knight, can I give you an idea?
Please.
One great thing when you're reviewing a text, trying to figure out, remember what happened, is to do a text walk. And I didn't see, I think I saw one group over there with their books open. And that's a great way. The pictures, the chapter headings help you remember those events. Yes, so yeah, they're with me. They're already trying that.
Just write down. What's some other obstacles? Circes. The Cyclops. What did Circes do? She turned them into what? Turned them into pigs. What else? What's some other? What at the very beginning? Why is Odysseus not back at? Where's he going? To war, right? And so from the very beginning, we know the obstacles to war. Give me as many as possible.
What is Cyclops? The obstacle for him is
Indiana squad up! Squad up! So, it's okay if you are not able to get all of them done. As we share, what I want you to do, if you did not have it on your paper, write it down on your paper so that you have it for future reference. Again, so as we share, what are you doing? You're taking notes on anything that you may have missed. Anybody got something to add? Jamel. And let's try to start from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning. Then what happened after that? Land of the Laestrygonians. Y'all remember those big old, they weren't the Cyclops, but those big old giants? And they started like, they said they was poking at them like they were fish. Got that right here. Put that high in here. Page 60. You can find it on page 60.
Right here, just with the Sir C being with that.
After the Laestrygonians, who remembers what happened? Shout them out to me. After this. So we got Diamond.
It's the Molly, the God's messenger gave to Hermie.
But the Molly helped them though. That wasn't necessarily an obstacle that they had to face. Didn't they have to go to the land of the dead? They had to go to the land of the dead and they had to fight all the things there. Thinking about all of these obstacles that they have made, I want you to tell me or talk in your groups, you don't have to write this down, how has Odysseus changed or what has he learned through all of these obstacles? You have 1 minute, make it happen.
How do you know he learned not to trust the people around him? How do you know he learned that?
And anybody can jump in.
Because every time he works somewhere, he always
So that's how do you know? How do you know he actually learned that?
Were they cautious as they start to go to the different places? Did they start to be cautious or wonder before? Because remember, there was one island where he said, I'm going to send some people there, but keep everybody else back. Remember that? What? Whose island? Exactly. Good job. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I heard a lot of good things. So again, my question was, what has Odysseus, how has he changed, or what did he learn along these different obstacles? So, I know I want to have that group share really quickly. I know this group shared something, and then I'm going to finish it off here. That group?
We believe that Odysseus learned that it's better to have people with you on whatever you have to go through in life, because if he had no left off on the island of the sun god, then his men wouldn't have decided to eat the cattle or sheep, and he wouldn't have came back and they wouldn't have sailed off and died. And then later on, when he was on another island, I forgot which one.
The
but later on in
Phaeacians?
this,
The Palace of the Phaeacians?
oh yeah, and he saw like the little show and the song, and he started missing them, and he realized how much he needed them.
Okay. So, he learns that he needs people, or that you need help sometimes. Okay? Jermaine or somebody over there, share what you had said. What you were sharing with your group.
we said that he learned not to go on people's island without knowing who they is.
That was a different thing you said, not to trust. Didn't you say something about not to?
Not to trust. Not to trust people who you don't know.
Because
when he went to Circe's island, he killed some of his men and let some of them men go. But then when they went in the house, they thought she was lying and stuff. They thought she was wrong her. And then they just started eating her food. And then they got turned to pigs.
nice. Carlos, please be loud and proud. So, Carlos.
Mr. C,
Ma'am.
please send Desmond to the office for dismissal.
Yes, ma'am. So, Carlos, share your answer for me.
I said that the
What did he learn, or how did he change? Carlos, say that. Oh, I see a lot of people agreeing. Say that one more time, louder.
I said something that Odysseus learned is never to give up because all the bad things he went through.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to keep that in your mind as we go through today's lesson. Moving on. So, somebody read this for me. Today we will focus on what?
Comparing
Comparing and contrasting author's approach to central idea and theme. But more specifically, we're going to focus on theme. And we know the theme is a what? You don't have it on your paper. The theme is the moral message or lesson of the story. Does it or does it not include character name? Does not include character name. It is what? Alright. Somebody read, Trinity, read that for me.
The approaches the author take to refer to the choices that he/she makes about stylistic elements.
I'm giving out points. Who remembers what a stylistic choice or stylistic elements are? Pierce?
The approach the author makes
A stylistic element is basically like the stylistic choice that they're making, right? The specific choice that they're making into how they're going to write their story, right? Good. So, take a quick second, in your own words, kind of just jot that down on your paper. Rewrite it on your paper. Again, stylistic elements are the author-specific choices that he or she makes about how he or she will write their story. Stylistic elements is the specific choices. That word choices is super important. That he or she makes about how they're going to write their story.
Can we change that how to write their text?
Their
Because
text,
it might
right?
not
It
be a
might not be a
story,
story. You're
right?
right. About how to write their text. Thank you. When I see pencils down, I know we're ready to move on. I'm moving on in 10. Again, you can put it in your own words. A 9, 8. Most people here are done. 7, 6. If you don't get it all, somebody in your group has it at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, how many of us, and it's been a minute since we've actually read it, how many of you remember reading the poem Mother to Son by Langston Hughes? We read it all the way in the beginning with Bud Not Buddy. So some of us remember, some of us don't. That's all right. We're about to kind of refresh ourselves on it. So take a look at that poem, please. I am going to give you all 2 minutes to read this poem. And as you're reading, I want you to think about what theme can you take away from this. And you're going to discuss it with your group. So feel free to discuss it with your group. I have a theme already created in my head. The group that gets the closest to my theme will be rewarded 5 points. So the group that gets closest to what I came up with will be rewarded 5 points. I will reward every group, though, that I see working hard. 2 minutes, make it happen.
Splinters and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor, bare.
I've been a climate on reaching lands and turning corners.
And sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back.
He sat down on the steps because his fire is
Don't you fall down, for it's up still gonna honey. I still keep climbing, and life for me ain't there.
Okay, so I think that central theme is that
I think the theme. I think the theme is like don't give up. Because life's gonna be. I think the theme is like you've gone so far that you should start giving up right now. Yeah. I think it's like life's so hard. Like you said, like not to give up. Life's gonna be hard, but you still gotta push through.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
Do you see why? Go back now where I was trying to go.
Don't you fall down for yourself. I'm still going, honey. I still climb. Life for me ain't been no Christmas. What do you think?
Everybody track me in 5. Pencil down in 4, 3, 2, 1. So again, I'm going to read this myself, and then I'm going to ask every group to just share one theme that we came up with. Again, the group that gets the closest to my theme will get 5 points.
Mr. C, I think they finished reading and discussing, but could we check and see who got to come up with their theme yet?
Okay, sorry. Did anybody not get to discuss the theme? So I'm gonna give you one more minute. At this point, write down what your theme is on your paper. I'm coming around, I should see your theme written down on your paper. 1 minute. Everybody write your theme down. You have a Now go back to my
I said like
What are we thinking of?
It's 17, don't give up.
We're gonna have it also.
But just say that first part. Just say what you just said.
17.
But okay, never give up. Not going to testify evidence to support that. I don't see it. Circle it, write star next to it, whatever.
Notice that you have a two-part theme. You said love is hard and you said never give up, which means if you're going to prove this theme, how many pieces of evidence do you need? At least two. One that proves what? And one that proves you should never give up.
don't fall down, don't fall down, don't ask, go.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba! I heard some really good things, and interestingly, everybody is pretty close to the same thing. So, start me off. This group.
I said, our group said the theme is life is going to have many obstacles, but you must persevere and don't give up.
Okay, stop. This group. And it's okay if yours is similar. Say it the same way you said it. We didn't hear you all the way over here.
When life is hard, you must keep pushing through.
When life is hard, you must keep pushing through. This group over here.
We said life hasn't been easy, but never give up.
Life isn't easy, but never give up. What we say over there?
Life is going to be hard, but never give up.
What we say right here?
Life's gonna be hard, but you need to push through.
Life is going to be hard, but you have to push through. I want y'all to figure that out. So the theme that I came up with, luckily for y'all, everybody was super close to me. So mine was life will be difficult, but you must persevere, which is the same thing as push through, not quit, don't give up. So everybody will be rewarded at 5 points. Y'all lucky. But the hard part of it, this is where the hard part comes in, ladies and gentlemen. So I want everybody to pencil down, and I want you to track me. So, Heidi.
Can I name something you guys did with that theme that's really awesome? Yeah, thanks. I'm going to give you a compliment. That you can carry with you. Lots of times we stop when we have the first idea.
Yes.
Like I heard the message was don't give up, or oh, that splinters, that means life is hard. And what I heard every group do was say, actually, the theme is more complex than that. I have to put two ideas together if I'm really going to say what the author means here. And every single group did that. They put those two ideas together, which is incredible sixth grade thinking. Back in 5th grade, they probably would have stopped at half of that, and that was really cool.
So I actually want to pick up on what Heidi said, because I heard her point something out over here. So everybody has 2 parts that are answered. Life is difficult, but what? Push through, don't give up. And if you have 2 different parts of your theme, how many pieces of evidence do you need to have in? 2, right? You have to find me something about life being difficult and and pushing through, right? So track me as we model through this, because our objective today is to talk about the approaches to things. So as I model this, I want you to think about what is my thought process as I'm trying to approach this thing. And if you want to write down what my thought process is or was, feel free to do so. So the first thing that I need to think about when I'm looking at this, imagine Mr. C's pretty head right here, okay? Y'all know. So imagine my head right there. The very first thing I need to do is think about what genre of text is this. So I know I'm reading Mother to Son by Langston Hughes, and so I know that it's a poem. So the genre of text is poetry. So I know that the type of genre of text is poetry. The first thing I do is think about the genre. Once I have figured out the genre, I need to go and think about what theme can I pull out. And we've already said that the theme is life will be difficult, but don't give up, right? Or life will be difficult, but persevere or push through. Now, anytime, we already know, anytime that I have some type of theme, a central idea, I have to go back in the text and find evidence. So the next thing that I need to think about is what piece of evidence, again, what piece of evidence is going to stress strongly. Because we know there's some evidence that might be just okay, but I need the strongest evidence. Because it's not good enough just to be okay. I need the strongest evidence. So, as I look through here, I need to find something that supports both. Life will be difficult, but you must persevere. As I go through this, I want you to also track along on your poem. So the first thing I noticed is line 2. Line 2 says, life for me ain't been no crystal stairs. So when I see that line, and I see some people underlining that line, I like that. When I see that line, I know that she's saying life is hard. Life is not easy.
So one of the things we talked about in that group is, what does crystal stair mean? And they actually, I can't remember who it was in the group, said, well, maybe the mom had hard times, and so she's telling her son, because I had hard times, I want you to push through. And so that was something that we discussed in there.
And we're actually going to hit on that crystal stair part in the approach. That's perfect. And so that's going to be super big with this. So the first thing I think about, I see life for me ain't been on crystal stair. And so I know that she's saying life is not easy. However, am I done? No. I have to think to myself, I'm not done because I have not supported my entire thing. I need to go in the text and find something that supports, but keep pushing on. There's actually 2 parts. She says, but all the time I've been climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners. And sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on the steps. So for me, that's saying keep pushing. But that's something else. If I see lines 17 through 20, I should see everybody looking at 17 through 20. She says, don't you fall down, for I still going, honey. I still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. So I found 3 pieces of evidence that could support both of my parts. So I thought about my genre. I thought about what theme can I possibly pull from this poem. Thought about the evidence that supports that theme. I'm still not done. Because we're talking about approach to theme. So now I got to think about the approach. And then the approach is another way of saying what stylistic choice is the author making. What stylistic element. So now I need to look at my chart. I got a whole bunch of elements that I need to look through. Looking through this, and my approach should support my evidence. I don't need you to support the whole text. My approach simply support my evidence. Life for me ain't been no crystal stair. When I look at this, I don't think she's literally saying her life is a crystal stair. So if I don't think she's really saying that, I think this has to be some type of figurative language, right? And so when I think about it, I think it's a metaphor because she's comparing her life to a crystal stair, right? And I know it's not a simile because she did not use like her ass. So I know already one of the author's approaches was metaphors or figurative language. Awesome. So now I'm going to my second part of my evidence. But all the time, I've been climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners. And sometimes going in the dark, but there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on the steps. And that part to me, the author kind of talked to me almost. When she said, so boy, I felt like she was talking to me. And I was like, oh, I'm your boy. All right, I'm listening now. So for me, I kind of got the speaker's voice. Because I know this is the mother talking, right? So I kind of got her voice. So if I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, this has to be speaker's voice. Because I almost feel like she's talking directly to me. And so that's another approach. So far I have that the author has used figurative language. And I know a lot of poetry uses figurative language. Although this author has some type of speaker's voice because I feel like she's talking directly to me out of the text. And then my last piece of evidence. Don't you fall down, for I'll still going, honey. I'll still climbing. Again, kind of what I said the last part, I get that speaker's voice again. Because she's talking about I still going, honey. And so it's almost she's still talking to me. So when I'm wrapping it all up, I need to make sure, and we're not going to do this yet, but we're going to come back to this. When I have my criteria for success, I need to do that same thought process. I need to think about what was it that the author included in here to help me get to my approach. So again, the author could have used as many things as possible to come up with this. The author could have approached this by talking about point of view. He or she could have talked about characters, plot, but they chose specific stylistic choices. In a second, I want you to turn and talk and tell me what was my thought process. Again, you're going to talk about what was my thought process as I tried to reach this approach. Go. What did I think about that? What was my thought process as I was trying to figure out what approach? So what was the first thing I thought about when I looked at this poem? I thought about we look at our what is it? I had to think about the genre, right? And what genre did I say it was? This is poetry. Once I figure out my genre, what do I do? I gotta come up with a thematic message, right? And then after that, I always have to do right? And am I picking any type of evidence? No. Strong evidence, right? And after my evidence, I got to be how he approaches it, right? Like what was the specific choices to get here. And you have to think about all of it, right? Like what right. And you got to think about the specific evidence that you're using. You're not gonna find Yo, what's up? Alright, so I want to clarify something. When I was reading this, I said that I almost felt that the mother was talking to me. However, who is she really talking to? Her son, right? So that's super important. I want to make sure you didn't get that confused. Give me a second. I want to make sure you didn't get that confused. She is not talking to me. However, it felt like that. She's really talking to her son. So, start me off, Jamarion. Can you tell me what was the first thing I had to think about when I'm trying to approach theme?
First thing you have to think about the genre.
I had to think about what genre of text it was, right? And what genre of text did we say it was?
Poetry.
Poetry, right? Who can tell me the next thing I had to think about? Caitlin? I have to find what?
The theme.
Class, I have to find what? The theme! I have to find the theme. And we said that the theme was like life was going to be hard. But you have to? Push through. Thank you. After I find my theme, what is the next thing on my thought process tomorrow? I have to find evidence. And is it any type of evidence? No. What type of evidence? Strong evidence. Because you want me to see strong, so I only do strong evidence. And after my strong evidence, what do I do? Darius? Not necessarily what metaphor, but what style, what is it called? Stylistic choice to use, author uses, right? Because you're right. Metaphor is a stylistic choice, but it's not always going to be metaphor. Okay? So you got to be very, very careful with that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to move on. And you're actually going to do it on your own. So really quickly, before we go to our carpet to read the Odyssey, I want you to take the time, 3 minutes, read through this, come up with your own theme. Don't worry about the approach or anything yet. I just want you to get a first read and then think about as a group, what could the possible theme of this be? I'm going to give you 3 minutes and then we'll start going to our, actually 2 minutes because this poem is super short. 2 minutes and we'll run through the
The one on the back. Okay,
We've all had times when our smooth ride feels rough. The good times are gone, it's already rough. You let out a sigh and explain, I've had enough. Thank you.
We are all entitled at times to right and to wrong. What's happened to my life? You said with a groan. My backpack seems weighted down by a very big stone. How do I move away from this miserable
I want us to stop. These first 2 stanzas are important. What is going on in your own words in these first 2 stanzas? Somebody. Take 10 seconds. You got it? Go ahead.
It's talking about his upset down and how he can overcome it.
Thank you, Jasmine. I'm coming to you. What are they saying in that last stanza? When the curveball hits you through a trick or a card, remember the good days when the sun always shone. Go forward with the belief that you have already won. The best advice I can give is to keep on keeping on. Jasmine, what do you think? Did I get that on
I said when life is one, remember that you have one, so keep on keeping it.
Remember that you have what?
One.
Okay.
I said, think of how much the good times outweigh the bad times.
Think about how the good times outweigh the bad times. I think so. I think you have a good part. Like, so let's go to line. Just line stands. Everybody go to stand for 3. Everybody go to stand for 3. Best advice I can give is to keep on keeping on. You missed one very important part. I think this is super important. But what message are you trying to leave you with?
To keep on keeping on.
What's in your own words? What does that mean?
Push through all the
You should push through the hard times. And it's in our title, right? Keep on keeping on.
Mr. C, I think when we pull it together, we gotta find a way to combine those 2 ideas, because this lines 10 and 11 make this theme slightly different from mother to son. Because she just says, don't sit down, don't give up. But this author actually says, if you're not gonna give up, what do you need to do?
Keep going. But she said,
How? What do you have to do? He's giving you advice. Did we see that in Mother to Son? Was she talking about? So we gotta focus on lines 10 and 11 and put their 2 ideas together, because this theme is a time from Mother to Son.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, what's up?
All right, so we're actually going to share our themes after we read the Odyssey. I know that everybody has a theme, but we're going to share it after the Odyssey. So for today's lesson, please turn to page 150 in the Odyssey. When you have it, you may go to the circle. In this circle, when you have it, get inside your groups.
You have to remember the things. You have to what is he remember? His home. His home. And the frame for that we're trying to look for common people, just so we get a why did you
All right, ladies and gentlemen, really quickly, I need y'all to close up my service a little bit. So, I want to make sure that everyone, I know that our themes were really good, but I want to make sure that we're able to read the Odyssey, so that our theme is what we come up with when we prepare our translation. It's not only solely from keeping on. We got to make sure that our theme we come up with is coming from both texts, okay? So that's why we have not shared our theme yet. I came around, but I want to make sure that we're able to do something. So before we start reading, can I have somebody read question number 1, Ayana, question number 2, Samaria, 3, Carlos, and 4, Caleb.
What does the poet what is the incident in your life when you have shown perseverance?
Number 2.
Why is Penelope
worried that questions 2 and 3 are going to give away some of the thinking they need to figure out when they read today? Because these are things we want them figuring out when they read a book now.
Gotcha,
They might miss the chance to do that thinking
So,
themselves.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Let's skip those with action, and we'll skip number 4 because I'm gonna actually have to go back to you and do that anyway. So right now, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to answer question number 1. Answer question number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and look on page 149. I'm going to pick 10 people to share. No, so we're actually going to do that in a second. Don't worry about it. Starting off will be Jamarion, 2 Caitlin, 3 Keelan, 4 Kiana, 5 Iana, 6 Donterica, 7 Carlos, 8 Tavon, 9 Tyler, 10 Sarai for now. After Mr. C, The gods are powerful allies, said Telemachus. We're at the top of page 149. The gods are powerful allies, said Telemachus, but I still don't see how 2 men can defeat 100 enemies. That's what we're going to figure out now, Odysseus said. Listen. Lowering his voice, he began to explain the plan. Down in the town, E took his message to Penelope, but there was no hope of keeping it secret. The returning sailors were already spreading the news. Telemachus is alive. They shouted as they came up. Telemachus is alive! They shouted as they came up from the harbor. The suitors were furious, and so was Penelope. As soon as E had gone, she swept down from her room in a rage. What kind of men are you? She said to the suitors. You're all guests here, living at Odysseus' expense, and now you tried to kill my son? The suitors swore it wasn't true. All we want is for you to choose another husband, they said, but you keep putting us off. First you wouldn't choose until Telemachus was a man, and now you're pretending to weave a shroud. I am weaving, Penelope said fiercely. But one of her maids had betrayed her. Every night you unpick your weaving, said an angry suitor. We know what you're doing, Penelope. You can't delay this any longer. It's time to choose. Before you turn the page, I want you to turn and talk. What happened on this page? What is this page mostly about? What is so important about this page? Turn and talk.
They found out her secret, what she was doing.
Just like this page, they basically that what you said that like she basically was trying to find an answer to not marry because she wanted to wait until she was capable. But now she has to because they know everything that she has to do.
Because one of her maids had betrayed her and told her
All right, bringing it back in 3, 2, 1. What did we say the gist of this page was? Kiana, can you start me off? What do we think is going to happen now? You think what? They're going to probably come up. Let's turn to page 150. Whoever was first, please pick up.
They all were there her until she went back up to her room in tears. Much as she loathed the idea, she had to do what they demanded. She couldn't see any escape from the situation. She didn't know that Odysseus and Telemachus were in the swineherd's hut at the very moment, plotting how to rescue her. By the time Eve returned to the hut, Athena had changed Odysseus back into an old beggar, and the old beggar insisted that he wanted to visit the palace of Mars.
That's perfect. So, really quickly, we said that we think that Penelope is going to be forced. Was our prediction true? How do we know that it's true? Somebody go into text on this page, show me where it's talking about her being forced. I need to see your finger on it once you find it. Did Jamel have something? Jamaria has something? Donterga has something? So right, is that you having something or yours? You got it? Okay. What evidence supports what we said that she's going to be forced? You got it? You got it? So Ryan, what evidence did you find on this page that supports our inference that she's going to be forced?
The evidence I found.
Speak up so we can all hear you.
The evidence I found was when it said, much as she loved the idea, she had to do what they demanded. She couldn't see any escape from the situation.
Yes. She couldn't see any escape from the situation as much as she loathed. So as much as she didn't want to, she couldn't see her way out of it, which supports that she's what? Next person, you go in first. Really quickly. You know Odysseus is strong, he's clever, he's smart. Would you have dealt with this if you were Odysseus? Because they're abusing him, insulting him, throwing chairs at him, rushing at him. If you were Odysseus, knowing who you were, the type of person you were, would you have dealt with that? Tell me why.
Because, as he said in the beginning, as they were throwing insults at him as he walked in the palace, it will give up his plan, and he would make him so much to get to this place. So why just for people to insult him, or he just give up his plan?
That's super important because he has a plan, right? And you can't give up that plan. It's something important. Next person, whoever was after Dr. Erica.
They fight.
I said it again.
A fight. The soldiers shouted.
Okay. Y'all still on question one?
Why you so happy before she said she was going to check It's because Odysseus had said that before he left.
She said, I'm doing it.
No, because they found out that she was unraveling the shroud. But
That was what they thought.
them finding out that she
As soon as all the suits had gone, he didn't tell them I could move around the hall.
no, but she because if they wouldn't found out, she could have kept on unraveling it. She would have said, "I'm not doing it," and she wouldn't have to marry
With
him.
every last
Jesus said marry him because if he died young, and he'd be old and marry someone.
as soon as he started home, so now he came down from her. Last 2 pages, Caitlin, pick up.
Sit here with me, she said, and tell me about your fortune. Have you heard news of my husband on your voice? Have you heard news of my husband on your stomach? Odysseus longed to tell her who he was, but he had to get rid of the suitors first to comfort her. He made up a tale.
Pausing just for a second. After the word first, what punctuation do you see? A period. So you got to pause there, take a breath before you try the next sentence. So try it from the word but, and then make sure you pause there, and then take a breath before you're stuck. That makes your reading sound just like talking.
But he had to get rid of the suitors first. So to comfort her, he made up a tale about beating Odysseus and
They all deserve to be punished. Tomorrow they will be set Odysseus. He then settled down beside the hearth, staring into the fire and waiting for morning to come. That's where we're stopping.
That's a beautiful picture right there.
It is a beautiful picture, right? Ladies and gentlemen, take his talents back to your seats, and I will give my next directions. So, before we went to the circle with Odysseus, I had you all create a theme. And I want to point out something from this group. So this group came up with several different themes. And they said, we got something different. And so, let's see how we can kind of work on what they have to see if we can combine what they have to make it our theme. So, those 3 individuals, please share your theme, and then we're going to work as a class to figure out how to create the theme that we're going to work with today.
Life seems dark. Remember that you have one, so keep on keeping.
Trinity said, when life gets dark, remember what you have won, so keep on keeping on. Mia.
I had said the theme is we all have times when we want to give up, but we have to keep on.
We all have times when we want to give up, but we have to keep
I
on.
added something else.
And then Jamaria,
I said, think of how much the good times outweigh the bad times.
think about how all the good times outweigh the bad times. And so technically, none of them are wrong, because we already talked about it. When you're dealing with theme, there's more than one thing you can take away from that. But I actually think what we need to do is combine their themes. How can we combine their themes of saying, let the good times outweigh the bad times, and you need to keep on keeping on? Turn and talk in your groups to see if you can figure out how to combine those themes so that we can figure out what one thing we're going to work with. Make it happen. Is there evidence that can support that? Go from both texts, so this text and the Odyssey? Okay, find it in this text first. Think about the good days. What evidence supports thinking about the good days and moving forward? Which lines? Ice on what he needs to do what? And give him advice on how to keep on circling those lines.
You gotta find it in the open.
Gotta find it in the Odyssey book.
I think I know the evidence. How is this email? I know, because this one is also about not getting that. But what other message does this talk about?
He actually gives advice on how can you keep going.
And yeah, what message is that? How do you keep on giving up?
Outweigh the good days from the bad days. Think about the good times when you're making doubt.
So now try to put all those ideas together in one theme statement. So you have a theme statement started, but you have to just add everything into it. What do you need to add to your theme statement now?
I'm about to push you a little bit. We read Mother to Son, and we read Keep On Keeping On. Similar, but slightly different. Who thinks they know how it is slightly different? Kiana?
I think they're slightly different because Mother to Son actually just tells her son not to give up, and keeping on gives the advice how to not to give up.
Right. That's exactly right. Mother to Son tells her son not to give up, right? Keep On Keeping On says don't give up, and they tell me how to keep on. What did they say to how to keep on keeping on? What did they say to do? Darius? Tell me what line you're going to, Darius. Everybody should be going to 10 or 12. Go ahead and share those lines. Man. Right? So this person is giving us some type of advice. So ladies and gentlemen, help me write my theme on the board. Even when things, what? Are hard. Remember what? And what?
Keep on.
Can I just put and ...
No.
I gotta write it.
Yes.
Dang, Miss C, can't be lazy?
No.
Is this okay? Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is our theme. So now what I want you to do in the next 2 minutes, you're about to think about my thinking steps of how to approach a theme. So again, really quickly before we start, what was the first thing I had to think about when I was trying to approach a theme, Jamel? Huh? I had to think about what genre of text it was, right? What was the next, Mia?
The theme you can pull out.
I have to think about the theme, and we already have the theme. Once I have this theme, I find what to support it, Pierce. Strong evidence, Mrs. C, strong. And then after that, we have to figure out which stylistic approach does it represent. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving you 2 minutes. Work with your group to figure out this diagram. I have mine filled out myself. So I'm coming around to see if we are on the right track. Let's make something happen.
Okay, so you know.
Yo.
Yo, what's up?
I want to make this easy on you. We don't have a lot of room, right? So I don't expect you to write full sentences. You can tell me a stanza, you can tell me a line number. If it's in our book, you can tell me the page and paragraph number. You do not have to do the whole thing. And also today, we're lucky. You get to use the entire Odyssey book to tell me something that supports that. So you don't have to only use this
But we
section.
can do one for another.
The entire book. That's why we did the activator. Make it happen.
So we're thinking about this idea that you have for your owner that there's two. You're going to have a two-part theme again. Right. That's the first part of the theme.
He in trouble.
What is the line that tells us that the strategy we need to persevere is to remember what's that line?
Because Lon says
10 and 11. So 10 and 11 is where you want to focus on there. Because then we're going to have to be able to name what it from 10 and 11.
What about when they got home?
So now that y'all have lines 5 through 12, I'm going to look at the stylistic approach. Where we have all the lines that we use for stylistic approach.
Okay, so I would look at choice and speaker lines and figurative voice and figurative language. I don't see no figurative language. Figurative language. Because it's more than one. Okay, so the first one is
The smooth ride suddenly feels bumpy and rough. Life isn't really a ride. Okay.
Okay, number 7. My backpack seems weighted down by a very big stone.
There's not really a stone on the backpack.
What are you talking about?
When a curveball hits you through a trick or not.
So yeah, go ahead and write that. Oh, right here.
Okay.
So she says 9 to 12.
We're talking about
So choice is metaphor.
here.
What part?
What specific part? Because the whole thing's not. I think, so for me, like underline those.
No, it's 130.
It's 130 through 131.
How's it work?
So in the paragraph,
He removed those spaces meant with the fire.
I told him to switch gears and it's
he remembered his past, like what and I saw 5. I saw choice 5.
annotated with the exact couple of words.
How is that stylish choice? So that means just paragraph 3.
Yo!
Yo, what's up?
So really quickly, myself, Heidi, Miss Hughes, and Melissa, we've seen a lot of good stuff. And we've seen a lot of people on the right track, especially with the stylistic approach. However, I'm seeing a lot of people saying like 9 through 12. Those are a lot of lines. What specific, I'm not saying that's wrong. What I am saying, Trinity, is which specific line does that approach relate to? So what I want you to do, if I'm saying 9 through 12, but then I'm saying that something, it is point of view, for instance. If it is point of view, which specific line is it? So next to that stylistic choice, I want you to write the first few lines of, or the first few words of that line.
Actually, just slightly different. This is what close reading is. That you can drill down to the exact couple of words that made you think that. So for example, if I see on, remind me the name city? On Shanaja's page, she wrote speaker's voice here. Next to that, I want you to write just a couple of words from a line that made you think the author was using speaker's voice. So close reading that you're choosing the best couple of words that are telling us that that's what the approach is. And that's going to help us figure out if you've really got this.
Do y'all understand that?
Yes.
Do I need to show call something?
No.
Off, keep moving.
We keep it 9 through 12.
Yep, it's 9.
Let's make sure we're also
Yeah, I
getting to the
said
honesty.
Author's choice, you should write what? Now, next to that, I'll give you a second to write that. So now, what I want you to do is what specific words through from 10 to 12, because it's not the whole thing, right? What specific words show? Go back to speakers. How do we know this speakers? How do we know this is a speaker? What'd you say? Say that louder. So I, and that's let us know that what? He's talking, right? And he says, whatever word, let us know. Kind of bringing somebody else. He says you. So next to speaker's voice, you should write what words. And then tell us that the speaker is talking.
So notice that. Just make sure that you gotta ask them. So when the author had to choose how to get this theme across, he decided
All he could be
directly to his mother's son was like how to make the author of choice. I'm gonna get my theme across of how the speaker
Speak to us.
Can you do that for us?
He pushed through, but we're looking for evidence when he remembered the good time.
Is there something when he said Athena not
Is it a
Remember, this is time.
Yo!
Yo, what's up?
So I'm trying to get my dot cam up, but it doesn't want to pop up. So we're going to show call someone's work, and I'll kind of just play it by ear for some reason. I know, but it's not showing on my screen here. So, we're going to show called Soraya's work. So she has done everything for the poem. Keep on keeping on. So before we start, let me get her on the count of 3. You go, girl. 1, 2, 3.
You go, girl.
Awesome. So Soraya put that the genre of this text is poetry. She said the lines that she's using is lines 9 through 12. And the stylistic choice that she used, she pulled out 2 of them. She said that it was figurative language. Anybody else pick figurative language? Okay. And she also said speaker's voice. Give me a thumbs up if you pick speaker's voice. Awesome. What I did notice that Soraya did, for figurative language, she pulled out the lines, curveball hits you. It shows that the author is talking directly. When a curveball hits you, is this supporting figurative language or speaker's voice?
Speaker's voice.
Okay, so this is supporting speaker's voice. When a curveball hits you, it shows that the author is talking directly to you. So which word shows that?
You.
The word you, right? So you get speaker's voice there. However, she also has figurative language. But she didn't directly say which lines support figurative language. So if I'm going to put more than one stylistic choice, I also have to pull out more than one what? Piece of evidence to support it, right? And so Soraya needs to go back and support that. In your show card notes, really quickly, if you pulled out more than one stylistic choice, but you did not pull out the line, right there, which line you need, which stylistic choice you need to go back to explain. So again, she has figurative or speaker's voice, but she did not pull out figurative language. I also think this is super important to call out something. She said that the speaker is directly talking to you, right? And so you get the speaker's voice through that and the I want to give you advice. However, when we read Mother to Son, was she directly talking to us?
No.
No, right? So we're kind of in the background hearing it almost, right? But she's talking directly to you. So that's also how you get the speaker's voice as well. That's super important to realize. So, Ryan, when I give you this paper back, where are you going to go fix?
Find evidence for figurative language.
You need to find evidence for figurative language. Everybody else, I want to see you doing that.
You said
figurative language, he said when the curveball hits you, and like that's not real.
She has it in her. She's
called it
labeled it.
something else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your same line. How many authors' stylistic choices were in their lines?
What stylistic choices?
It's not
It is really what, because it's
No,
like the best.
so you pulled out a line. Which part of that line tells us about the speaker's voice?
I'm not saying everybody's
Which part? Yeah, that way. Yes, he's saying that he's telling us. Which part shows us figurative language?
curveball.
Is there more figurative language in this poem that would support?
Is it plot? Character's plot?
Is there more figurative language that would support even when things are hard?
Is third person limited? She said, is it third person limited? It's not a outside view.
He thought about that. He didn't want to hear it.
Okay, so for this year,
What else could it
or
be?
have like interaction with the person. Thank you,
Right. Because he's got character interaction. You just said it. Or what's the other one?
Yeah, well, and I think Holy and the Spring represents which part of a two-part theme. Keep on keeping on. So we have evidence for that. Where is there a line in this text that tells us how he's going to do that by remembering the good times? Mr. C was saying we know that. There's got to be a place in the text that told us that he's trying to remember the good times as his strategy.
And so does it happen? I guess Heidi, they're trying to find both of it from one thing.
Yeah, that might not be
You
the
don't have to
case.
do that. So this supports one part of it, right? And you can still use that, right?
They have the right idea if we want them to find a line. There's one on that page.
Read this.
What you say? It said he pined for his home and his wife and his son and his own rocky island of Ithaca. And at the bottom, all he could do was dream of going home. That's a good thing. Yes.
I mean, we let him in his home and tell him.
So, back then, all he could think about was
Which direct line on this page points to the part of the theme that's remember the good times? What specific words?
Hopes of seeing Penelope and Tillamook.
Hopes of seeing Penelope. There's one. There's another one. I love it.
As the coast of Peace.
I see it.
Walk away. Oh, the temptation was strong.
Keep reading.
So even stronger. Ooh.
It's not in this book. A lot of things aren't going well for him, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be he's having a good time, but he has to remember.
So I'm on 54.
What are the good times?
So I'm on 54.
His wife and kids, right? So what he is supposed to
You got two. And I'm trying to get this. Can we write it in this part?
I'm about to get ready to write it out now. Yo! All right, so we've had enough time to brainstorm, to find as many as possible. I think it's time to actually get it written out. So, when we write it out, we're going to write it at the bottom of our revised TDQ. When we do that, we have a CFS. In our criteria for success, you need to state, what's the first thing you need to state? Theme! You need to tell me what theme or universal message does this poem and the Odyssey both share. And did we already do that?
Yeah!
Right, where is it?
Right there.
So, I should see everybody writing our shared theme that we have for both. What's the next thing that I need to put?
Evidence.
But it says specific evidence, right? So, don't just say, in the book he had to keep on keeping on. Tell me a specific time. And I know everybody has that, right? So tell me a specific time when he had to do this. Then, identify the genre. That's the very first thing you have to do. So tell me, in this, what genre? In this, what genre? This is what happens, right? So identify the genre when you do that. Then the next thing, if there's not enough room, write it at that bottom. Name the stylistic choice that the author made to support the theme. Stylistic choice is another word for what? How he approaches the theme, right? I'm going to give you, how much time we need?
7.
I'll give you 7 minutes to write this because I want you to flush. Which piece of evidence are you supposed to say that's the choice?
Yes, because which of Odysseus' thoughts told us that
There's about 5 minutes remaining.
What if I didn't have to? How would I know what that is? You add that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please put your pencils down. Track me. We're going to show call some bonds as we share. In our show call notes, what are you writing? Things that you either didn't make it to or things that you forgot to do. Okay? And then we're also going to give Savon feedback based on our criteria for success. So we're going to see if he hit the points that we need him to hit for our CFS. So again, to revisit that, share themes, specific examples. At some point, name the type of genre, and then what stylistic choices. So let me share his. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we give him what you want? Oh, yeah, though. On the count of 3, can we give him an oh, yeah, or I need to be loud? 1, 2, 3. Time about Jasmine woke up a little bit. All right, so Tavon wrote, a shared theme that both the Odyssey and Keep On Keeping On is that even when things are hard, remember the good times and keep on keeping on. Did he give us a theme? Yes. Okay, so if you did not give us a theme, you need to make sure you write that down. You did not write the theme down. Then he wrote, the genre that the poem Keep On Keeping On is poetry, and the genre of the Odyssey is a novel. The evidence I pulled from the, did he tell me at some point what the genre was? Yes. He said a narrative text or a novel, and then he said, what did he say for Keep On Keeping On? It's poetry, right? The evidence that I pulled from the Odyssey to support my theme is on page 102, paragraph 2. He pined for his name. He pined for his home, for his wife and his son, and his own rocky island of Ithaca. All he could do was dream of going home. The evidence from Keep On Keeping On, did he give me one piece of evidence to support one of the texts? Yes. Okay, now he has to support the other one. And I'm actually going to push him on this evidence, though. Remember the good days when the sun always shone. Go forward with the belief that you have already won. The stylistic choice to support the theme for the Odyssey is characters' interaction. And for the poem Keep On Keeping On, it is a metaphor and speaker's voice. So, does he hit all of our points? Yes. Class? Yes. I almost want to say he does not, though. Let me tell you why. So, I want to go to his evidence. Evidence is good. But, remember, our theme is even when things are hard, remember the good times to keep on keeping on. He wrote his evidence. Tell me if he does both of them. The Odyssey to support my theme is on page 102, paragraph 2. He pined for his home, for his wife and his son, his own rocky island of Ithaca. Which part is that? That's remember the good times, right? But he didn't talk about remember when things are hard. That's why he remembered that. And then also, let's go to the poem. Evidence from Keep On Keeping On is that remember the good days when the sun always shone. Go forward with the belief that you've already won. Or that's one part. That only supports the good times, right? And we want to support. We want to make sure that we support what? The whole thing, right?
Can you read the line from the Odyssey again? Because I think it has a different name. I think he named a strategy in the Odyssey. I don't think the evidence he put there goes with the strategy he named.
He wrote, the evidence I pulled from the Odyssey to support my theme is on paragraph 102. Everybody turn to page 102. Look at y'all. Paragraph 102, paragraph 2. He pined. Put your finger on he pined. He wrote, he pined for his home, for his wife and his son, and his own rocky island of Ithaca. And And then he wrote that the stylistic choice to support it is characters' interaction. Okay. I see.
Yeah. So we do know that there's lots of character interactions in this text, and some of the people in the group did that. But we didn't talk about this one. But that's not an interaction. When it says he pined, what is that?
He's thinking to himself.
He's thinking to himself. So take it from here, Mr. C. If that piece of evidence is about him thinking to himself, we gotta figure out what that strategy is.
I think Destiny actually pulled it out. If he's thinking to himself, what could is that figurative language? No. It's not, right? And we've already said it's not characters interaction because he's by himself. He's not interacting like, what's up, Leon? What's up, girl? Right? That's me interacting with somebody. She just dissed me right now, but it's cool. So that's not an interaction. Not a metaphor, not symbolism. What else could it possibly? Destiny, what you write for?
I'd say
What?
point of view. I mean, third person omniscient.
And third person omniscient is part of what?
Point of view.
Point of view, right? We get his point of view, though, right? Class, is that important? Yes. That's super important because although it's not an interaction, that is a stylistic choice because we know from his thoughts, from third person omniscient, what he's thinking, right? Awesome catch. Thank you for catching that. Make sure you need to fix that now. Ladies and gentlemen, I've given you 3 minutes. Whatever you did not finish or whatever you forgot to add it. Jamil, I'm coming to you in a second.